Hey, welcome back to the Form of Reality. Mike. Recently, we had an opportunity to talk with D. Taylor Mason, who works with a lot of different individuals in raising their vibrations, and we've got a lot of interest in various different tools. And
Different modalities of healing and finding out things.
and I know that you use a number of different tools in your work as a um, practitioner of the hypnotherapy programs
Right.
that you're involved with. Well, it's our pleasure to welcome back D. Taylor Mason, who is a individual that helps work with people. And Dee comes from England, but she works with individuals throughout the world through the use of Skype and different technology. Welcome, Dee.
Oh, thank you. Good of you to have me back again. So nice to see you.
Oh, it's great having you here. I know that we use different tools, and in the psychic realm, if you want to call it that, there are a number of different tools that are available to us. Some people say that they're pseudosciences. Other people say that they are actually work. So what do you think?
I think the ones that work for me, and I was very fortunate when I came into healing that I met a teacher. I was with her for 2 years, and one week we would do healing, being taught how to heal, and the following week with meditation, and we'd be trying all these different avenues of with pendulums and scrying, all of that kind of thing, and all of these things work if you train yourself to do them. You know, some of them, some things are easier than others. And you can actually use your body as a pendulum. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Oh, right. Is this where you would say, like, if you wanted to eat something, you would hold that and then you feel like you're going towards it or pushed away from it? Is that what you're saying?
Right. No, the way I use it, I mean, that is a way of using it.
Okay.
You would just stand still, and I would say, my name is Dee, right, as a positive, and then invariably I'd move forward. Your body kind of is thrown forward. So you get back to center again, and then say, my name is Sandra, or whatever, and you move back.
Oh.
So that you've managed to get your yes and no. So with that, you can do that with food as well. You can walk around the supermarket and say, is this good food, food good for me, blah. So yeah, it's quite an interesting way. And it's also very good for people who come to see you for the first time, or who are in.
And some of the more common tools, Mike and I were writing down
Right.
some of the different tools that you have, but one of the most common tools that I think a lot of people know about are tarot cards.
Mm-hmm.
And how?
Yes, yeah, tarot. Yes. Tarot cards I use, they're just a guide now, really. It's almost as if my readings come from the guides and my intuition. But yeah, the cards are a guide. They're a very useful tool.
And most of these tools, whether it's pendulums and scrying and tarot cards, that's what you gather information. You're not pushing energy with those. You're basically getting the information with them. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, you're getting information from that with the scrying is interesting.
Because I've seen where you can maybe make spells or whatever by putting certain cards together.
Yes, yeah, it's not something I do. It's
Okay.
not something I do, but I believe you can do that. The other one, other tool, of course, is psychometry as well, where you can hold an article belonging to a person and get energy from that. There may be a memory locked within that, whether it's a ring or a watch or something like that. And all of these things, if you persist with them, you can become an expert at it. But for me, I think the tarot cards really work for me, and I don't want to overcomplicate things. I do use a pendulum occasionally, just as a by to actually get confirmation of something I may have seen.
Is there, you know, with these tools or with your abilities, is distance a problem, you know, through the internet, or is it better in person, or is there any differences?
No difference really. It's fascinating to me. I've even actually had my very first hypnotherapy on Skype. Asked a lady to go somewhere quiet, and she was sitting in a car park, and it worked. It worked. She was in a quiet place. She was all ready for that. So that was a lesson for me, just to let me know that these things work. But with hypnotherapy, especially, you have to be careful about the subject you're going to be touching on. You know, you don't want an interruption in the middle of something that's really quite deep.
Right.
So, yeah, I tend to have more people who come to me to the home, but I use it just a little bit, maybe at the end of a session of other things, just to instill something more powerful and positive.
You know, our subconscious is constantly turned on. Whether we're asleep or not, it registers all different kinds of vibrations and energies. And because both you and Mike are very active in the hypnotherapy programs, etc.,
Yes.
you know, they're tapping into that subconscious, I think is really helps that individual better understand who they are and why they do things the way they do it.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And you know, of course, you were just saying the subconscious knows every little thing about you, everything. And so to actually ask the subconscious for help, always for the highest good, you know, it will take you to places that you need to be, or not, as the case may be. Sometimes there is a block within what can be shown and given.
Now, when you do that, is that more of a conversation, or, you know, there's different hypnotherapy types of things where you would make suggestions and place suggestions or intentions in a person. You know, with what I do, it's not really suggesting anything, but just drawing information so that somebody can understand what's going on.
Yes, that's not what I use also, but also saying to, if I felt somebody was a little bit out of balance, I would be saying to the subconscious, right, could you please put this body back into balance, a little bit higher, a little bit lower, just to get back into balance, and almost leaving that to the subconscious, because of course they're far more powerful than I am with the subject that I'm actually dealing with.
Okay, yeah, that's very similar to what I do. You ask the higher self to do it. You don't say, you know, whenever you hear this sound, you're going to feel this way, or
No.
It's no suggestions like that.
No suggestions like that. I tend to take people on a timeline as well, you know, so they can see where things are moving for themselves, and that's often miraculous, really, what they're actually seeing. And I especially use that for smoking. People need to give up smoking, and you can tell when it's hit the spot when they're actually looking very worried. You know, when you're doing the timeline and you're going towards the end, you're not in a very good state of health with the smoking. And also, I had somebody last week who was worried about driving, you know, driving the driving test. So I took him on timeline, first of all, to see the end result of what the work we'd done, and then went into hypnosis after that. So a lot of my work isn't, the hypnotherapy is the last bit. That's like the icing on the cake. The rest of the work I do with the NLP and thought field therapy and the timeline. So it creates a nice balance, actually, and also it helps your client to feel involved. You know, it gives them power to know that they can do some of this work themselves. I used to give them homework.
That's what I liked about it, is I'm not telling them anything. They are telling themselves these things.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Have either of you taken individuals past their perceived death or before they were born?
Well, different lives. I mean, that's part of the purpose is different lives. I don't know
So
about
Yeah,
what you do.
yeah, sorry. So different lives, Mike, you were talking about.
Is that
Yeah.
what you do also?
Yeah, I take them to different lives. I've taken them to birth, if they've had a difficult birth, but I don't go past death. I haven't been trained in that.
Okay.
And apparently it's a very long process, or it can be, I believe. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know, but that's not where I want to be. Oh, I beg your pardon. I have taken them. If I do a past life and they've had a difficult death, I then take them to the death so they can see where they are and see what they learned in that lifetime.
Right.
So yeah, but not particularly. Let's just look at that life after death thing. It's just to heal the situation.
Right, because some of those traumas can live on. Have you, it's something I haven't done, or I haven't had the opportunity, not haven't done necessarily, but people with, I don't know, physical, I don't know if you want to say deformities, or, where they've got a spot on them, or, physical attributes. Have you
Yes.
found any of those relating to, well, I've got this dark spot on my head. That's where I got hit in the head in a past life.
Yeah, yeah. I did have a girl. In fact, there was a very first person that I did this with. She used to come to me for. She had ME, and so healing was the main thing that I did. But she developed this cough, which went on for quite some time. So I asked if she would like to try this out with me, and we went to 3 lives. One life she was hung. One, she had a throat slit, and another one, she was garroted. And she did have a line on her neck. Yes, yeah. So, and the cough went. After we went and did the work, the cough went.
Great.
So it's interesting. Something like that, you actually wonder, have they been brought in for me, or is this for them? Because I'm learning and being taught. And
Right.
there we are, got somebody right on the doorstep who would actually be willing to actually have that thing. So it's a balance of everything, isn't it? Really, it's wonderful.
they've done a lot of studies, not necessarily on the hypnotherapy, but on dreams. And I know
Yeah.
that you help individuals better understand some of those dreams, whether you're awake or whether you're sleeping. And anything you'd like to share with the audience about dreams?
Well, I think with all dreams, the answer comes from the client, really, because they really know what it's about. It's just getting them to find out, because we can all interpret dreams, but actually might be missing some aspect of it. So it's trying to get the person to do that. I know there are some specialists in dream. I'm not a specialist in that, but I have helped people understand some of the things that they have been dreaming and having some disturbances with. It's usually a disturbance, isn't it? If it's a happy dream, you're not really likely to look at it in very much detail, but just trying to find the balance of that.
Now, I think did you say before you work with thought field therapy?
Thought field therapy, yes.
Yeah, what is that?
Right, thought field therapy. Have you heard of EFT?
Yes.
What is it?
Okay.
What is
EFT.
EFT.
it? EFT, which is what?
That's emotional therapy, freedom therapy.
Isn't that the tapping
Emotional freedom
thing?
therapy.
Oh, okay. All right.
And it's tapping. Thought field therapy was the first one out with a Dr. Callahan from America. And I believe, Gary, I can't remember his surname, but the EFT man who brought this out, he was a student of Callahan. And he's added some things to it, affirmations and things like that. I haven't studied it, but I know a little bit about it. But I trained with Roger Callahan, and I found it absolutely amazing. Tapping on these meridians, I'll just show you gently over the eye, under the arm, and on the collarbone would help alleviate anxiety.
Huh.
There is more to it than that, but you can actually, just with those movements, clear a lot of anxiety. So it's on the meridians, meridian lines of the body. So again, it's all energy, and it's absolutely amazing. So that's something that I give to my clients, and then they get a sheet to go home with so they can practice. They can use it with their children. If you don't do it right, then it won't work. But if you don't do it right, it won't do any harm.
Right.
So that's really good. But it seems as though EFT has kind of taken charge of being out there now. You know, there's not so much advertising for thought field therapy, but it's still out there. There's lots of therapists out there, but I'm seeing a lot more marketing, shall we say, for the EFT.
And there's I think another one where you're using your eyes. You look this way and that way and different ways.
Right. Yes. Can't remember the name of that. But you can now also, within NLP, if somebody, I haven't got this off properly, but you can tell by their eye movement whether they're speaking the truth or whether they're gaining access from, from knowledge and things like that. So it's it's another science to look at within the frame.
And these same meridians are probably used with acupuncture and other things that manipulate energy.
Absolutely. Having had acupuncture, that's amazing. I've been amazed with that. Having a few pins put in you and it's relieved a shoulder injury. So yes, it is. When I did the shiatsu, I trained in shiatsu, which was all about the meridians as well. And there's a most amazing therapy where you use the points on the head and you lay down at this point and the therapist is actually working on that. And you can get an extremely strong spiritual connection with that as well. It's amazing. Again, all energy, all energy. And these are ancient things, aren't they? These are ancient from Chinese and so forth.
Do you find certain kinds of foods accentuate the psychic abilities that we have, or do they detract? Because I truly believe each one of us have a number of different skills and abilities.
Yes.
So
I would say there, if you're going to do any psychic work per se, I wouldn't be eating very much beforehand. Just to keep clear. I'm not really affected by food. I can eat anything. I still eat meat, and but I wouldn't eat a heavy meal before doing any work because you're just being able to fine tune, really. But I don't know of any foods in particular that would affect anybody one way or the other.
Yeah, I could see the blood and the energy going to the stomach to, do its job and detracting from it.
Yes, yeah. I'm doing 16-hour fasts right now, and they're having an amazing effect on the body. Really liking that.
How is that? Is that like eating twice or once a day?
We can sleep 3 times a day, but only within an 8-hour thing. So mainly I probably eat maybe the last meal about 6 o'clock in the evening and then don't eat till 10 o'clock the next morning.
Okay.
But what I've also found is I'm able to go to the gym before I eat breakfast, which seems a bit of a dichotomy, doesn't it, really? You need energy, but your body doesn't need all that.
Sure.
And the benefits of this are for your whole body and mind, and a bit of weight loss as well, so that's really good. But there's several members of my family on this now, and we're really enjoying the benefits.
Yeah, we did that in the Army, but I don't think spirituality and some of this stuff was part of that.
No, that wouldn't come into it, would it? Yeah.
Get up for 4 in the morning and run a couple miles and do some push-ups and stuff.
Piece of cake. Mike and Dee, I only eat 1 meal a day.
Wow.
And it starts at 5
Yeah.
and it ends at 11 in the evening.
Yeah.
I
Just grazing.
Yeah, I just graze through different foods.
Yeah. Right. Oh, give the 16-hour. I mean, if you started off with 12 hours and then got yourself up to 16. But it's really good. Just going back on the food thing for a moment. I mean, I did have guidance to I gave up dairy, alcohol, and meat for 4 years. So goodness knows what was going on there, but I'm having all of that now. I can have all of that. Yeah.
I truly believe that our body goes through cycles. And I heard that each one of our cells, our individual cells, is replaced every 7 years. You know, it's
Yes.
and so consequently, 7 years ago, our body had a different sense of, like for instance, if you were allergic to poison ivy, I've heard of individuals that 7 years or 14 years later was not. And I just wonder if your need for certain kinds of foods depends upon the certain kinds of needs of your molecules. I don't know. I'm not a food nutrition.
It's a strange thing, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, yeah, to be going back to it now, it's quite strange. You know, when I meet people and you have a drink now, where I didn't drink anything at all. Yeah. But yeah, I do think the body does replace its cells. Dr. Deepak Chopra talks about this, and you know, your body regenerates, but you also have to remove any negativity from the cells, otherwise they're replacing themselves with the same negativity.
Yeah. Now, smoking, you had mentioned before, smoking is a detriment to psychic abilities. Why is that?
Well, there are lots of horrible additives to smoking, aren't they? Arsenic, for one. There's some horrible things in cigarettes. No, it's just, I'm just seeing with that the dark energy and the smoke going into the lungs, which are your breath of life, and yeah, filling up with all of this tar and things. But I know somebody who smokes a lot, and she's an amazing reader. And I mean, amazing, absolutely amazing. And yeah, so it's really strange. It's very odd, isn't it? Health-wise, she's doing well, but because she's connecting all the time with energies, it's actually maybe balancing out.
Do you think it could be intention, possibly, where, you know, people have in their subconscious when they're smoking, it's like, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, or
Good point.
we're doing it without those thoughts, that it's a neutral thing?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? The intention is, and I think this person I'm describing would say that her intention is this will not harm her, and therefore it doesn't. Yes. Yeah, fascinating.
So
sausage is actually very good.
With a lot of fried potatoes. I tend to agree.
Well, bless the food before you eat it. Yes, as well. So.
I love this food. So the different tools that you use, it really depends upon the individual that comes to seek your counsel.
Totally. And if I've got anything of the background, I kind of will know what I'm going to use for them. But often it's once they get in. And I think I mentioned this once before. I get them to do the thought field therapy tapping before we do anything. Because if they've never been to see me before, they're going to be a little bit anxious, especially if they've never had hypnotherapy before and they don't understand it. So I do that immediately, and then I can see them just starting to relax. Then we can start with the work.
Very good. Very good.
I'm not too bad at it, but as a patient or somebody receiving the hypnotherapy, I'm really bad because I'm always trying to figure things out. You know, I'm analyzing. Okay, why did you say that? How's this going to affect? And I can't shut down enough or quiet down. To I guess take advantage of it.
It's wondering because you're probably wondering what they're actually installing. Yes, as well.
I did. I went to somebody and they suggested it whenever I was learning how to do this to have it done on yourself, and knowing what they were doing, I'm like, okay, the next thing is this, the next thing is that, and she had a terrible time trying to put me under, and I just got very faint glimpses of things, but we worked on that for an hour and a half or two,
Wow.
It just wore us out.
Do you think that's part of trust? Trust in
I think
yourself?
it's a personality type, personally. It's
Well, okay.
an analytical mind rather than artistic, possibly, that, I just try and figure everything out.
Yes, 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 yes. So it's difficult, really, to get your mind into that nice, soft state. Mm.
Yeah, just don't think about anything. Like, oh boy, that's hard.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really good at not thinking about anything. Really good at that. Yes. Oh gosh.
I'm always analyzing stuff.
So Dee, do you accept individuals if people emailed you, and I believe we have your email
We've got
or
the
your
website,
the website.
dtaylor-mason.com.
So if people were to contact you asking for assistance, is there a process, or what do individuals need to do to go and talk with you?
Well, first of all, email me, and then we can have a chat by email, seeing what their requirements are. We could even have a chat on Skype beforehand and just find out. I like to do that anyway, because then they can get a sense of who I am and be more relaxed when we're actually doing that work. But yeah, that's the way to go with that. And yeah, it's very easy, mainly on Skype. I haven't had any problems with it cutting down, but I always instill something within that. So if it does cut out, we'll get back to it and everything will be okay, that kind of thing. So that's one way of getting me. But yes, if you live locally, they come to my home.
Do you have any preference as to whether they're men, women, young, old?
No, as long as it's their idea. Sometimes if they're recommended by people, it doesn't work, because they've come already with a pre-programmed mind that this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So I had one guy, for instance, who had asked his father as a birthday present to pay for a hypnotherapy session. And his father didn't agree with this, but he paid for it. And there was no way that guy was not going to give up smoking. He'd given up before he got to me. It was like he wasn't going to let his dad be right. And we went through the process, and yeah, he made my job very easy. He'd already mentally given up.
Huh. Well, I again thoroughly enjoyed talking with you, Dee. Great guest.
Mm-hmm. Always a pleasure.
And
well, thank you. That's kind of you.
Well, I really appreciate your being on Form of Reality. And yes, we're going to be asking you back very, very soon.
Thank you very much, both of you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank all of you for watching, and we'll see you next episode on Form of Reality.